one thing in listening to Doug that I took a mental note on is something that, again, in the time that I've been with the business, sitting down with hundreds of families, there's just a different thought process when it comes to dealing with money and things. And to know that, was there 500,000 in cash value from what the IUL that his parents said?
Yeah.
The 500,000 in cash value, right?
No, that's what the face amount was.
Oh, the face amount was. Okay. But they set that up for him as a kid.
Yeah, right. He's added to the kid.
Okay. Well, how much did he have cash value in?
I don't really know.
Okay. But when you're sitting down with people, again, your job is to help them see things that a lot of times they can't see. I was sitting down with a lady yesterday, very, very spiritual, and she said, well, this isn't something that, I really see myself doing. She's like, this just isn't my cup of tea. And I said, would you allow me to disagree with you for a second? And she was like, she kind of smiled. She was like, okay. I said, you were a nurse, right? You were RN. She's like, yeah. I said, you go on mission trips across the world because you love helping people, right? She's like, yeah. I said, oh, I didn't say that part. I said, you go on mission trips all over the world, right? She said, yeah. I said, you do it because you love helping people, right? She said, yeah. I said, that's all this business is about. Helping people. Helping people make decisions on things that they're really not equipped to make decisions on. I said, you're very spiritual. I said, I go to church every once in a while myself. But I said, how much does the Bible talk about money? She said, a lot. I said, and how many people actually know what to do with money when they do? She said, 100% of them don't know what to do. So I said, you love helping people, and the God you serve talks a lot about money. If you can help people, and you can see the light go off, and they're like, oh my gosh. With Doug, when I see families a lot of times when they're like, why would I insure my children? Why would I put money? I mean, that's how people need to start thinking. And you need to tell stories like that, man. I know a business partner of mine helped a doctor whose parents had a $500,000 policy on him when he was a baby. Not because they wanted him to die. I did a policy on somebody there. You're trying to kill my children. No, I'm not trying to kill your babies. I'm trying to kill my babies. No. I'm trying to help them plan for their future. There's so many things that we can do for families out there. And again, that goes back to what I was saying. Just being really good at what we do. So great job, Dad. Great job. So coming up to the top recruiter, the top business partner developer for the month of February. At the associate level, again, I hope he's here because it would be very awkward if he's not. Mr. JJ Baldovino, I think that's all
Okay, so I got a couple recruits.
What are you excited about?
I don't know. But it was my wife's it's my wife's cousin. Yeah, so we just been, trying to just develop our team. And just build and just keep growing, I guess. I don't know how to say.
What's your vision for your business?
Just big. since last month. Yeah, sure.
Let's do this together.
Okay, let's do
Okay,
it.
all right.
Sure.
6 and 62 license. Keep talking,
I know. What else we do? Consistency of guests. Consistency of guests. Yeah. I try to invite as many people as I can. My wife too. She really supports me a lot right now. So, you know, a big goal for me is to have her not work so much anymore. And also, a new one for me is also help my parents out in, you know, kind of giving them a proper retirement because they don't have a lot of money. So.
Why is that important?
No, I think they gave me a lot, so I'll give them that.
What would that mean for you to be able to do that?
A lot. How about that? I always wanted to build my race car. I've had it for like 10 years. Been sitting for a long time. So much I got more important things to do right now.
Like build a business.
Like build a business.
So I want you guys to take a note of this moment. Because I bet if JJ keeps going like he's going right now, he'll be up here speaking better than me in a minute. I never forget. A lot of you guys know, know Comfort Taylor? You guys know that?
Yeah.
Anybody remember Comfort when he first started speaking? Like Comfort knew it was uncomfortable. He would look back at Melinda like, so we're doing. But
Turn up the microphone.
yeah, because he'd hold the mic down here. It's like, what we're doing. But I mean, here's the beautiful part about our business. Again, I mean, it's just, and I am super optimistic about everything, but there just are numerous great aspects to our business, and one of the best ones is it allows us to develop as people.
Right.
It allows us to grow. It allows us to get better. So like that first 20 minutes when I was up here rambling, didn't have that plan, right? Just, you know, you're able to just kind of go and make things happen because this business just helps you grow. It helps you get better. It helps you grow in areas you didn't think you needed to grow in. And one of the ones I love most is it helps bring people together. Because here's the reality: how many people like being by themselves? Right? I knew your hand. I knew your hand was going to go. So tell me, you're going to get one, Mike. You know exactly where you're going to go. But by design, we're not supposed to be. Because even though we were by ourselves, because I'm one of those individuals, I can be okay by myself. Amen. But there's still a part of me that feels better when I'm around people. Specifically my family, my business partners, people I care most about. Right? And this helps us develop in that area of being able to communicate and be in relationships with people. So again, push yourself to grow in every possible way in this business. Next individual I want to bring up to the stage, she was actually #2 personal producer in the hierarchy, in both hierarchies. We're going to bring up #1 a little bit later. She was #2 in MD, but I want her to talk about what it is she's doing to kick off the new year. And so bringing up to the stage, #2 personal producer, Isabel Brione!
I'm glad JJ came before me. I couldn't mess it up even worse. I love you. I love being real, right? And just to be honest with you guys, and then it kind of, like I got even more nervous because this is 3 minutes, right? Or maybe like 5 minutes at the most when you do roll call and everything. 10 minutes, what am I gonna say for 10 minutes, right? But anyway, I did prepare something, but although I think I make good speeches, the night before I couldn't sleep. And I'm always like trying to make it perfect and writing it down and all that, right? But just to be real to you guys, it's always hard for me to be up here. And it's a growing process for me, okay? And I think I'm not alone, right? Except maybe for James. Obviously, it's very comfortable on stage, right? Yeah, okay. And most leaders here, okay. But anyway, it's so funny, these numbers that I have last month came from apps that I did in November that never got funded until then, right? And that was the one that when I was here, when we had our last area-wide, I was up here, right? That was it, right? So anyway, but I think it's, again, God's timing that I got this production, the cash flow, is to prepare me for our S&B promotion, right? Always something happens for a reason, and the timing is always, you don't expect it. You want it sooner. Because if I had it all at that same month, I would have gotten probably 35,000 points, right? But God has other plans, right? So I was writing down, I've gotten added and learned some tools in my tool belt to make me a better person. And this is nothing new. Something that kept in my mind was when Nat was here training. I don't know if you've been doing it for a long time, but now what I'm doing in the morning, when I wake up, what do we normally do? Rush out of bed, right? And wash clean. But in our head, we're already thinking of the things that we need to do, and negative stuff starts putting you out. Oh my gosh, you're already overwhelmed, and you haven't even toothbrushed, right? And so what I'm doing now is when I get out of bed, I'm slow. I don't rush. I go to the bathroom to relieve myself and wash my mouth so that I have that good breath. Like you, I good breath. And I don't go on the scale because I don't have to. I'm just being honest. Because I don't have to. But then I go right back to my bed with all this stuff. These are the ones that I use for my reflection, meditating in the morning. Right? What I do is I read Bible verses. Where's Ron Durden? I'm very spiritual, right? And
Yes.
he gave me this for a long time, and I never really touched it until I opened the book. And these are Bible verses for they're categorized in, for different reasons. Like this one is like for personal needs, Bible verses for God's promises for your personal needs. So what if you start reading those good, I don't know if you're spiritual or not, or something, affirmations for you guys, but me, this is what keeps me going in the morning. Do you have doubts and fears? I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Not that we are sufficient of ourselves to think of anything as being from ourselves, but our sufficiency is from God. He was fully convinced that God is able to do whatever He promises. He who promises is faithful. Fear not, I am with you. So all of this, right, in just one chapter, my mindset is starting to feel better. I'm feeling better and all that. And then I also start, this is I've always carried and written journals all through my life, but this one is still my favorite for the time being because it's so intimate now. This carries all my business plans for the year. Actually, I rewrote my business plan like 6 times here. 6 times, and they're like trying to make it better and better. And sometimes I see that the one that I wrote in the very first time is better than the one that I wrote the last time. So just depending, right? And then all my affirmations are here. And then as I think of something, great thought about my life, I put it down here. And so when in the morning, I'll just look back and go back to the pages and just pick whatever good stuff that I want to read for myself. And it's just been changing me. My dog almost passed away not too long ago. My favorite dog. He was she was like a neglected dog, right? And so she was always undernourished, malnourished when we took her. And she almost passed away because of heart failure. And so I wrote something down here that, life is too short. We can see our beloved Casey's last days, and my heart aches. And it reminds me that to you, God, belongs all life, and that I must respect your will and honor it, whatever that may hold for us. And so, Lord, help me to do everything. And then I put it down to my own life. Help me to do the best in everything, because life is too short. But to remember that first I must learn to love others as myself. Love, love, love. Forgive others as myself. And lastly, to be the best in using the gifts, talents, and time and resources that you have given me. So, and then I created a couple of pages of God's miracles in my life. Who do you think, do you think God has done something good in your life?
Yes.
But have you really kind of pondered it? Written it down? What I did was I took stock of what God has done for me, and when I read it, I get ecstatic all over again, right? And I remember that I'm so blessed. Yesterday was really so bad for me. I don't know why. Maybe because Nikki told me I was going to speak. So I'm always like, ooh, okay. So I was very anxious and scared, right? But I did my baseline early during the day. Normally I do it in the afternoon. I'm going to change it. I'm going to do it from 9 to 11, okay? But I did it very early yesterday, and I felt good, but I'm still anxious. After the BPM, I left, and I was still feeling that. So what I did, I just remembered, stop it, Isabel, stop it. And then I started affirming myself. I started doing incantations, loud. Yeah, and then and it did help. And I just say, I am a great person. I love it. Oh my gosh, I started talking to myself in a very positive way. And everything stopped, and I felt good. And so really, you can be intentional about what happens to you, or what you can do for yourself here, right here. You can put a stop to all that negativity right here and now. Okay, so just do it. So anyway, I had more to say, but I think my 10 minutes is up, and I don't want to. Wow, I did it for 10 minutes.
Alright, way to go, Isabel.
I spoke with the heart.
Minister, be honest. I feel like I was in church right there. You got an offering plate? I got an offering plate right now? Oh, yeah.
I got my cut.
Alright, bring up next is one of the things that we've been doing a lot in the Torrence office as of recently is literally just contest after contest after contest, because the reality is competition brings out the best in people. Right? It can also bring out some other sides of people as well. But I mean, good, healthy competition pushes people to be their best. And Nikki asked myself and another individual
Your best friend.
to work together and put together competitions. Nikki's created a few competitions. Now just put together some competitions. Like, literally, we just got competition after competition after competition. And one of the funny things was, with this last one, Sabrina's always said, I'm not competitive, I'm not competitive. But this one, she said, I am competitive, and of all the S&Ds, she's the only one still going. And she says, I am competitive, I'm going to compete. But to talk talk about some of the competitions that we have going on in the Torrance office, really pushing us towards our Super 100. We have our March Madness contest going on. It's none other than Super MD, Mrs. Christine Smith.
Best year ever! Alrighty. So, they couldn't have picked a better person to talk about contests and competitions. So, great job, Nikki. Alright, well, I just want to start with a question first. What's the difference between a contest and a competition?
The contest is something that pretty much everyone in the hierarchy can win. A competition is, say, I call out someone and it's like we're competing against each other.
Anybody have anything else to add to that?
The contest doesn't necessarily require any skill, whereas a competition will require a certain number of skill.
Maybe. Anybody else? So in a contest, can you have multiple winners?
Yes.
Yes.
In a competition, can you have multiple winners?
No.
There's only one. That's the main difference, really, and so it pushes you in a different way. You know, in a contest, it can, you're just like, oh, it was me. In a competition, people calling you out and someone's better than you, that's basically what it comes down to. It pushes you in a whole different way. So, and I love competitions. So, the first one I want to talk about is our Super 100, and I'm going to ask my best friend, Ms. Najla, to come up and help me with this one. But before I have Najla get into the specifics on how this works, the best thing I think about all this stuff, competitions, whatever, it's all led by a vision. And Michael, my other best friend, had this great vision of doing a leadership retreat. And we all go off, and I was like, oh, this is going to be like kumbaya and stuff like this. And it ended up being, it's very highly productive. And the big thing is coming out of it, Nikki cast a vision of doing 100 super-based recruits. And that's really where it started, getting the leadership together, really talking about where do we want to be, our biggest goals and dreams, and then dialing that down into, okay, what does the goal have to be to hit that dream, that vision, and then what do the daily habits have to be? And so the person with the best habits and discipline decided to organize what was going to be our focal point, in terms of our Super 100 goal. And you always have, every time you have a goal, you have to have a visual, right? So Najla created this board, and she's going to talk about the details of it in terms of hitting our record and where we are. So I'm going to have her talk through that for a second. Thank you, Madam Black.
How's everybody doing this morning?
Great.
Great. I love to see a packed house, so thank you, and thank you guys for showing up, right? That's half the battle. All right, so what Christine so eloquently stated, so our goal for CBD this month is what we call Super 100. As she mentioned, coming out of the leadership retreat, one of the things that we recognize is that, hey, in order to get this team where we need to be, in order to get our CEO to EDC, somebody's got to make something happen. There has to be an explosion somewhere. And what's the best way to explode your business? Recruit. Recruit, right? You guys with me this morning?
Yes.
All right, so recruit. So what we said is that, okay, in order for us to be the catalyst, in order for us to be able to get this team where we need to be, we need more business partners. Like, we should be sitting on top of each other. We should have people sitting on top of those five. Like, we should be exploding out of this room. And so, of course, anytime you're running a contest or a competition, you need to have a challenge. I mean, you need to have a visual. It's not just enough to have it here in your head. You have to write things down, have goals, have things in front of you. And so I thought about it. I said, well, okay, in order for us to have a focal point on this, we need to have some type of tracking board. So when it created this, and you guys can do this for your teams as well. Go right to Office Depot, Staples, wherever wherever you want to go, and get these boards made. And the good thing about them, you can just erase them and use them again for the next month. So what I thought about, I said, okay, if we need to get to 100, we need to have a visual instead of every Wednesday, Saturday, BPM, oh, how many do you have, how many do you have? No, let's see, because the proof is in the pudding. Well, the proof is in the writing, actually.
Right.
So the goal is, well, let me give you some perspective about this first before I get to that. Because the record, if you would, for CBD, the most recruits in a month is 36. Right, Nick? 36. Okay. So you can see that first and foremost, we had to break our goal, and I'm happy to announce that we've done that. So give it up to you. We literally still have 2 more weeks. So this is our record goal, and I know there's actually a few that I'm still missing. But the idea is that every Wednesday, every Saturday, I'm bringing this board out, right? And you're gonna get tired of seeing it because you need to see your name on it more. You need to see your new teammates on this board more. And the goal is that we get through all these 100. Now, we have to kick this thing into overdrive, right, CBD? Because there's quite a few spaces left, and we have 14 days left in the month. But guess what? I know you guys are champions, and I know you guys are going to push through, and I know you guys kick into overdrive in the last quarter, last 2 minutes. You want to throw up that game-winning shot. And so that's what we've got to do. But that is the catalyst for your business, right? We just got out of an amazing leadership meeting talking about the catalyst is getting new business partners. But you have to start with the activity, which is what Christine is going to get into. But I want to challenge you guys, with all the contests and the challenges and the competitions, a lot of you guys get flustered. Oh my God, there's so much going on. Oh my God, I can't think of it. Oh my God, my hair's in my face. All these kind of crazy things. And the reality of it is you just need to focus on keeping the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is getting new business partners. But in order to get that are the consistencies of every day. Talking to new people, making phone calls. Talking to new people, making phone calls. It should be a two-step. Talking to new people, making phone calls. I should be doing that every single day, and this is how you're going to get to your Super 100. So, CBD, Team Freedom, are you guys with me?
Yeah!
Okay, so how many new recruits are you guys going to get this month?
5.
3.
10.
15.
How many new recruits? Hey, let's just start with 1. If everyone could just double themselves, like literally double yourself. It doesn't take much. Go get 1 new name and number. Go get a new recruit this month. Get your business off the ground, okay? All right, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So that is great, and she did a great job articulating it. But the thing is, we've talked about that before. And how many of you guys put up the thermometer, especially when there's a contest, right? We're going to Hawaii and blah blah blah, and you put the thermometer up, and then you don't fill it up. Anybody ever happen? Like you just don't write it in. So the thing is, okay, how are we going to get people to move? And that's the purpose, is how do we create the movement behind it? So it's great that we have a sign and we can write it, and we're going to talk to people on Wednesdays and Saturdays. But the other thing is, what is going to be the daily activity to lead us to the recruits? So that's why we started the LMS contest, where everyone's getting a new name and number every single day. And the thing is, we know we're supposed to do that, but you have to incentivize people. So it wasn't just like, hey, we're going to be committed to this. Hey, if you make it to the end, you get a big party. Right? And then the thing is, we had an influx of young men in our office. So we decided to do the Rat Pack. Where, and the thing is, because it also fosters that bonding, right? And then all it did too is all the young women were like, well, why don't we have a female competition? And why is it all the guys? And listen, and you see them on the group me, and New School's getting killed by Mo. And you're just like, what? And just like, Mo already qualified for the contest. And he's like, I'm not even in Torrence. You know what I'm saying? So,
Mo got beat, by the way.
we're not even there. We're not even there yet. So, but that's the stuff. And you see how everybody's laughing and kind of enjoying it? That's the thing. How do you make people feel? When you're doing this stuff. Because all of us want to reach our goals and dreams, but the thing is, that is what competitions and contests do. Because you can joke with people, and I can call Mo out, and New School, and I have the floor. You can't speak. You got to take it. You know what I'm saying? So that's just, but honestly, that's the thing. So, and Nikki was talking about, we should do something for March Madness, since that's coming up. So that's what I want to talk about in detail, and she picked such an interesting duo. She was like, who can do that? I was like, March Madness, yeah, I love it. She goes, you and Michael Paul. And I was like, what? What? No, which was ingenious, because I was like, who knew that Mike's brain worked? It was awesome.
That's your way of saying you're just another pretty face. Take it as like a backhand.
So, but I see you guys have March Madness going on, as well as I know the Beverly Hills office is doing that, and blah, blah, blah. But the one thing we wanted to do is, hey, we have a lot going on, but we want one thing to lead to another, to another. So we have this LMS contest. You guys are doing LMS too, right?
Yes.
So we have that, getting a new name and number. Great, you get a party. The whole thing is, though, if we're calling those new names and numbers, we should be getting guests, getting some interviews, right? And that's what this is about, the activity. So I wanted to have a competition that didn't reward the result. Because how many of you guys work really, really hard and then just nothing has happened yet? Has that happened to you? Raise your hand if that's happened to you, right? It should be all of us. And then you're just like, what? But you have to reward that daily activity and something. So the way that we created our March Madness is, just so everybody knows, does everybody watch basketball? Mm-hmm. I hope so. Yeah. There's games on right now, by the way. Not that I was watching on my phone. But essentially, you take the top 64 teams, right, in the country, and you have one game, you have one shot. It's not based on your record now, whatever, because you can have like a Jimmy Monroe who really can't compete with a Christine Smith, but you got your one shot. So because anything can happen, and Mike and I went back and forth like, how do we match them up? Because it's just like, oh my God, to have little Angela compete with Nikki, that would be so sad. It's just like Angela's gonna get beat right away. We're like, oh, we have no idea how to match them up. And then he had a very great idea. He said, let's just do a selection Wednesday, where we just put all the names in a cup and we just pick it out and just let it be random who gets matched up with who. So I want to walk you through it a little bit because it's very interesting what ended up happening. So what ended up happening is we had Najla, and I was like, oh my God, who's going to have to go against her? That's just sad, right? And then it ended up being Reggie, right, against Reggie. And then we have Nikki going against one of the newest people in the star, Angel, who just got coded like 2 days before that. He didn't even know what he was getting into. And then, and that's essentially how we matched everybody up. And then what ended up happening is between each BPM, we just said whoever had the most guests, ASAPs or one-on-ones. No KTPs, no closes, I don't care. Just how much activity did you set up? And it's only, your training appointments for the new people, one-on-ones, and guests that show up. And then we just started moving forward. Okay, who's going to have who and blah, blah, blah. And we were like, and Mike and I, we just kept going back and forth. We were like, if we don't spread the MDs and SMDs fairly throughout this, the whole party's just going to be for the SMDs and MDs. That's just going to be so sad. There's like no MDs and SMDs. And then, just Sabrina, basically. The most competitive one, right? But what was so interesting about this is everyone got excited because you're starting to call people out. And so outside of just a contest where I'm saying, Miss B, I'm the top producer in the office, I'm a blah, 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 whatever you might want to say, but it's like, really, what is your daily activity? And in a short time frame, because what did you do from Saturday to Tuesday? Someone might write 12,000 points this week because they had one appointment, it went right, everything fell in place. But if you didn't have, maybe you had 2 appointments early on in the week and nothing the rest of the week, now you're out. Does that make sense? Yes. So that happening, I want you guys to see what ended up happening. As we're going through all of this, Nikki, she moves forward in the bracket and she goes against a guy named Juwan who's brand new. And then I was like, I felt bad for him too. And then the thing is though, this is what happens, especially in leadership. You get very busy and there's a lot of demands on your schedule, right? And that week, it was just one of those weeks where it's just not a lot of personal activity, and he beats Nikki and moves forward. Woo! It was unbelievable. And then we have Angela. Does everybody know Angela Fernandez? Yes. Yeah. She's so sweet and quiet and just, I feel like she's not really competitive and blah, blah, blah. And again, she's just, Nikki, tell me, when was the last time Angela had a guest before this?
2009.
No, seriously, and no disrespect to Angela, and not a lot of appointments. Like and most of us look at it. Angela's just great. She's Nikki's assistant. She's always smiling. Like one of those people who just feel the environment, but not one of the people who just move forward. And the first thing, she went against Miss B. Now everybody knows Miss B, right? Yeah. Stand up, take a bow, Miss B. She's so good. But this is what I want to point out is just what seemingly is kind of an unfair matchup because Miss B, she's about to be an MD. She's running, she's retired, she does not take a break. And to go against Angela, who hasn't had guests literally in I don't know how long, or appointments and all that stuff, and Angela said, you know what, I'm going to be resourceful and I'm going to have a BMP, and she had all these people come, and everyone filled out cards, and she told me she had 6 units of activity in 3 days, and I was like, personal though? It's personal, Angela. Like, it's not if you go out and do matchup. She goes, I know, and these are my names, and these are the cards. And Miss B was like, oh, I had, what, 2? 2, that's it? And Miss B was like, what just happened? And the thing is, what ended up happening is now in the Elite 8, whoever made it to the Elite 8 has this Trans-America party and it's sponsored and this whole thing. And who is left is David Patterson. Do you guys know who David Patterson is? Yeah. So originally, most people are like, yeah, from Culver City. Original. David Patterson, who's the treasurer of Hawthorne, but now, and he hasn't had guests literally probably since 09. And he has had guests at the BPM running one-on-ones. And the sad part is that he had to go against his upline, Najla. Now we all know Najla. She has an appointment every day and does all of this work. And guess who beat who? And it was unbelievable. And then, then we had like Mo in New School, and it was just like, oh, New School's so cute because he keeps us entertained, But Mo beats him in everything. And then they match up again that week, and New School comes to my desk and slaps down 5 review cards. I did 5 personal one-on-ones. Where's Mo at? And Mo was like, crickets. But that's what ended up happening. So who ended up making our Elite 8 was David, New School, Isira, so one of our MDs who got it together. Jamone, who's a TA. D, she came dunking on me in my office, Sabrina, Brenda, and Eric. And out of all these people, 5 of them are training associates who are just getting busy because of activity and consistency. And one of the biggest takeaways we had as leadership is we are busy and running a bunch of appointments. And when you look at how many were personal, you're like, oh shoot, that was only 1. And so it was a big eye-opener going through it and saying, hey, this is how much I'm doing for my team. But then you're like, why did I not do 3 through 30? Because all of our appointments have been for the team. And you have to be able to, Nikki did this a great job talking about walking and chewing gum at the same time. So I just wanted to kind of walk you through that in detail of what that competition and these contests can really do. At this point, we're halfway through the month, already broken our record for CBD. And I think we have, 5 people in line to hit their 3 through 30?
Wow, that was amazing.
And we've been talking about it all last year, right, in 2016, and now 1 month because of competition, right, and pushing people, now we've created huge momentum. All right, thank you guys.
Best year ever! Alright, so did Christine do a great job? Yes! Unfortunately, Mike has the mic last. I'm going to do it right now. I do want to say this, though. Some of you guys saw me up here looking crazy with my top, with this up here right there. You guys saw, why didn't y'all say anything? Y'all like, he up there looking like I appreciate it. Jimmy comes over there, too. He's like, I just can't keep you looking crazy like that. I was rushing to get here this morning. My back killing me. I just got dressed any way that I could this morning. But no, like Christine was saying, it's about competition. Your life, if you haven't realized it by now, is going to be a reflection of how hard you're willing to compete. If you're one of those individuals that just looks to get comfortable, you're just constantly seeking out comfort, then eventually you may find it. But I can promise you, if you're also one of the people who compares yourself to other people, you'll see other people who aren't seeking comfort but just looking to compete and be the best that they can be. You're going to see them completely blown by you. Because when you're comfortable, there's no growth happening in comfort zones. It's just kind of, you feel like you're just maintaining, but the reality is you're going backward because the world is constantly moving. Nothing in the world ever sits still. The world is constantly rotating and spinning and doing what it's doing. So you can't see like, okay, let me get to my comfort zone and okay, I'm here. No, because then just naturally you're going to start to move backwards because everybody else is moving that way. So you have to just resolve with the fact that I just got to constantly compete to be the best me that I can be. I got to be the best me health-wise. I got to be the best me spiritual-wise. I got to be the best me I can be in business. And I have to constantly push the limits to get better. And you need to find yourself in environments and surrounded by people who will compete along with you. Again, it's not something like Jimmy and I, we've been talking for years, talking back and forth. I was Magic, he was Larry Bird, and all these different types of things. and we'll take shots at each other. We'll take shots at each other and make each other feel bad, but it's out of love because I want to see him get better. He wants to see me get better. Right? Who are you competing with? Right? And do you have a version of yourself that you're trying to be? Because really it's not so much about the people to the right and left of you. It's about the best personal you that you can be. All right? So with that being said, we're going to bring up the top MD. The top MD for the month of February. And in regards to points, had over 25,000 points for the month of February. So you figure, MD, 50% contract is a nice little chunk of change. But depending on how much that is personally. But anyway, bring it up to the stage, top MD, Mark Manello!
SMDU right now, and that's an amazing program that's going on. Never happened in the history of WFG, right? And it's so amazing to be part of that. And so I'm the type of guy that likes to say thanks. And I really want to thank my leaders. And I really want to thank Mike, actually, for doing such a great job. You're the man, by the way. Whenever I find myself on stage, that's always the first thing I want to do. I want to thank Christopher Schleman. You know, he doesn't know it, but well, when we did have our elite circle back then, he said something that changed my life. Because from that day on, I wanted to be more honest in my business. I wanted to make sure I'm more upfront in my business. You don't know what leaders come in, right? I want to take Jimmy Monroe, right? He was an MD back then. I got matched up to him at some point, right? And it's because of him, I was like, oh, what is this TRC that they're speaking about? what is the system? No, there was a system, you know? And, you know, I want to thank Team Transformers, our CEO. If you weren't here, we wouldn't be getting into this business, really. And, you know, I thank my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, all their support. And, of course, Adam, amazing coaching and mentorship. Yes, you know, it was amazing. I'm not really going to talk about, I'm going to talk maybe a little about how I got the points, but I want to share a little bit about my story, right? How did I get into WFG? And I only have 10 minutes, well, 5 minutes, I'll make it 5 minutes, right? Okay, don't worry, I won't make it too long. But, you know, getting into WFG, actually, I just got married, right? And the guy who was trying to get my father-in-law to come in, he finally came on board after we got married because he had no more excuses, right? And so, yeah, so he came on board. He's like, okay, fine, I'll check it out. And he comes on board. We come back from our honeymoon. We're all happy, right? Me and my wife. And suddenly my father-in-law goes, hey, Mark, I remember you said you wanted to learn a little bit about taxes, right? I said, yeah, sure, I'll go ahead. So I get there, I sit down in front of Francis Ho, right? Francis Ho, CEO, EVC to be, you know. So shit, by the way, okay. Yeah, I sit with Francis Ho, and then the next thing you know, my wife, being the most skeptical person in the world, she goes, hey, Mark, you should sign up. I'm like, how can I say no to my in-laws? We just got married, right? So, yeah, a lot of people have different stories, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the WFG perspective. It's because you get into WFG, you start thinking about things you never thought you would think about, right? And Mike did a great job about saying, you know, if every day actually you did something to better yourself, right? Where would you be in the next year? Where would you be in the next 5 years? If you only chose one thing per week to work on, where would you be? Where would your business be in the next year? And, you know, my family, I started taking a look at my family, my own family, and I said, you know, I was WFG, I was into it, I wasn't really, you know, I was just, you know, okay, fine, I'll just join out of love, right? And I got into the environment, and I started thinking, you know what? I started thinking about my parents' life, my own parents' life. And back then, they went back to the Philippines. My dad started taking medicine. My mom started studying to become a nurse. And you can imagine that. And back then, I thought we were rich. It's like, also, we lived in the second floor, and in our house, not a lot of people, you know, I thought it was really cool when you saw a rat bigger than a cat. I was like, man, that's pretty cool, right? And then you hear like these, at night, you're gonna hear like, it's like the geckos. They're like these huge lizards that make that sound, right? And I thought it was really cool. And then one day, our house got flooded, and I was swimming in the flood, and it was canal water. I thought that was the best life. Then now I come to WFG, man, I look at my parents and said, man, they went through a struggle to get me where I'm at right now. They did, right? And how can I give back to them? You know, I was waiting to take my nursing exam, right, so I could become a nurse. And suddenly I get into WFG, and which, by the way, I'm full-time. Right? Yeah. How can I give back, right? And I started thinking about that. And I started becoming a better person every day. I started sitting down with leaders that taught me what to do, right? Amazing people. Whoever ever thought I would shake the hand of millionaires like every other week or every week, right? I get to shake the hand of millionaires. And they have this great mentoring, and they started looking at my attitude, my character, everything, right? And every day I started to become a better person. And then just one day it's like, man, I gotta be able to give back. And this month, you know, I said, wow, I made a lot of money, and my mom's, this month, March, was actually my mom's 50th birthday. And we surprised the heck out of her! And you know what's funny? You know, my wife comes to me, it's like, hey, hubby, let's plan a surprise party. I'm like, yeah, you know what, let's give back to her. And it's like, yeah, so she just goes, oh, hubby, I need you to sign this check. I was like, go ahead, yeah, sure. Hey, hubby, or I'm going to pay for something. I need your card. how does it feel, right? It's like, well, she's in control, so I'm happy. But no, how does it feel? And you know when we sat that day on that birthday party, right? My mom said, you know, that is the first time someone has ever actually planned a party for her. And that's the first time. Back then, she was just, what, fourth year, senior in high school. That was the first cake. It wasn't even a real cake. It was just one of those Filipino, I don't know what it is, but cake. How does it feel when you're able to give back to your mother? And she keeps asking, so how much did you spend for the party? I said, Mom, don't even worry about it, right? We went to the hall, we got music. You know, I sang, brother sang, all that stuff, right? We're Filipino, you know, grab a mic, you gotta sing. So yeah, but how does it feel if you were put in a position where you could give back? How does it feel now, you know, when we announced in that party, you know what, Mom? You don't have to worry, because you're already part of our retirement fund. You know, we're gonna be your retirement fund someday. You don't have to worry, right? You know what, I tell my dad too, you don't have to worry. You know, I'm just gonna become the person I have to be every day. And how I close these points this month? Guess what? Every day I just became a better person until people started seeing I was, and they called me. I didn't have to call them. So, guys, become the best version of yourself you can be every day, and beat the best version of yourself every day. God bless you all, and God bless
Yeah, it is fun when you get to do stuff for your family. As he was telling the story, it made me think about last year around this time. My dad, he started a trucking business. Well, he's self-employed as a trucker, and literally since the time that he's started, no time off. I remember we had my wife and I had our daughter Ilani in 2009, December 2009. All of 2010, he saw his granddaughter 2 times. Because he was on the road, traveling back and forth across the country, making deliveries. So got to the point where we said, all right, you're going to take a vacation for your birthday. You're not going to do anything. My sister was like, well, he's supposed to come over to my house and do some fixer-uppers, because she's not married, so she doesn't have a man to do it. So she gets my dad. I was like, no, he's not doing anything. All right? And so I wasn't trying to talk about y'all. I didn't. But, so anyway, so we booked a condo, like VRBO, like Airbnb type of deal, up at Snow Summit, because my children had never been to the snow before, and so we booked a condo right on the strip that leads right up to the mountain. And we said, look, you're going up there for your birthday. Kids will get play with your grandchildren, go to the snow, have a great time, and he just loved it. He sat there the whole time. My son was snowboarding, my daughter was snowboarding, my son was skiing, and they just had a blast. And same as like your mom said, it's just amazing to be able to do that. And it goes back to, again, why is WFG here? To give you that option B. Live your life the way that you want to. But unless you know what you want it to look like, unless you know the things that you want to be able to give to your family and give to the people around you, WFG is really not going to do too much, because you're not going to do too much. Because you have no idea what direction you're going to head in. I gave this illustration a while back. I said, when you get, if WFG is a vehicle, right? It's to get you from point A to point B. So imagine going out to your car, right? You got your car in the driveway. You go out to your car and you just sit in the car. I'm just sitting in the car. Somebody's going to walk up to you like, what are you doing? I'm just sitting in my car. Right? You get in the car because you're going somewhere. Right or wrong? Right? Anybody, or does anybody just sit in the car? I know Christopher likes to sit in the car and make phone calls. You get away from everybody. But you don't just go sit in your car and do nothing. You get in the car with an intention of getting somewhere. Same thing with WFG. When you get in this car, you have to have the intentions of getting somewhere. And then if you're not going anywhere, you have to reevaluate, okay, have I set a destination for myself? Do I know where I'm going? So the next individual I'm going to bring up to the stage is, they've been driving the car for a while. And I think, you know, honestly, they've been able to change a lot of lives just because of not only what they've accomplished in the business, but also just from the amount of people that they've introduced. So a lot of you guys probably do know or may not know, that they were actually responsible for Ed Milet coming into the business. And so I mean, just their heart, their compassion. I honestly, I feel like WFG is the fountain of youth, because it's just like you see people who are in the 60s and 70s, and they're going, they're blowing and going. It's like they just never get old. It's like, wow, it just never stops. It's because, again, just the energy and the interaction and the relationships, and I just admire the fact that they've stuck with the company and what they've done and what they continue to do in business. So, top recruiting SMD team with Steve Adams and the A-Team.
It's a team effort, it really is. And, I spent a lot of years in this business, mainly just me. And I didn't have the concept, mainly because I was out there by myself in the desert. I built my business in the desert pretty much, and just by myself. And I didn't really know what to focus on and focusing on the right thing. So it was mostly just me helping clients, and if I could bring something into business, like James came into the business, and but it wasn't that was my main focus. That was the thing I wanted to do. I was looking at building a huge business. I thought it would happen, but I didn't really think about doing it the right way. And it wasn't until I came back here and was with Christopher and exposed to people who had built those great businesses that I began to get the picture of what you have to do if you want to realize the dream that you might have about having a large business where you can leave a legacy for your family, where you can be financially secure for yourself, where you can make a difference for other people, and just do good. And that's what this is about. It's about doing good for others, isn't it? And if you do that enough, guess what? You're going to do good for yourself, are you not?
Yes.
Right. And so that's pretty much what it's about. It's just have that vision and then share that vision with others and involve other people because they have visions too, right? And help them achieve their vision. Okay?
That's it.
All right.
Somebody go get James, please. Hurry up, get him up. All right, so we're going to bring up our last speaker of the evening, or the morning, shall we say. And it's nice to see he's I have a feeling he's going to get up here and talk some mess. Just a little bit. Because, first it was like, let's go back a couple of years, like 2015. Torrence was doing her thing, and we were talking big stuff, and then came Colorado, and Colorado was talking big stuff, and we were talking about, okay, is anybody in Chino good? Is somebody in Chino going to do something? And but one thing about Christopher is that I remember we had our first Team Freedom Elite Circle. It was like 2014. And I really got to see kind of how his brain works. and just how he looks at the business and some of the little detail-oriented stuff that most people would just skip over and not pay attention to, that if you're paying attention to it, which is what I was kind of talking about a little bit earlier, can make a huge difference in your business, right? And you look at these teams that are competing in the national tournament right now, it's going to be little adjustments. Like if you watch the game from the first half to the second half, you'll see coaches make little adjustments. That, okay, that play wasn't working in the first half, tell you what, let's do it this way, and then all of a sudden you'll see the play start working. But that's one of the things I appreciate about Christopher and what he brings to the table. And I've always said, if I could be, pardon the, kind of the visual, if I could be like the baby between Christopher and Dan. If they had a baby, I want to be that baby, right? Just the intensity, but I mean, that's why I said, pardon the visual you're gonna get.
I'm the daddy.
Honestly, when you take just his business mind and just the ideas and things that he brings, and just always wanting to push the envelope and not forgetting the person who may not mesh, just naturally gift-wise. Because sometimes we say, if somebody comes into business and they don't have our character, our charisma, or whatever we bring to the table, we say, oh, well, they're not a right fit, or they just didn't want it bad enough. When really you need to look at yourself, okay, have I grown as a leader to be able to lead people who don't look like me, don't talk like me, don't sound like me, aren't able to present the way that I'm able to present? Because that's the mark of a good leader. And that's something I know Christopher has committed to, is saying, okay, look, I don't care if you're the A-type personality or you're a complete introvert, we're going to create an environment where you can be successful here. And in the month of February, they put up 60,000 points. And I think he did a lot of that came personally, too. Huh? A little something. But bring it to the stage, our CEO, Mr. Christopher Simon.
I got some primary colors, Sharpie markers, the big ones, red, blue, black, green. All right, how's everybody doing this morning? Great. Great? This has been good so far? Yes. Hey, first of all, a couple things I want to say, like Steve, like whether you are Irish, how many of you in here are Irish? How many of you are just Irish for the day? Right? Happy St. Pat's Day, right? You know what an Irish 7-course meal is, don't you? Beer. 6-pack and a potato, right? 7-course meal, old school. Sort of a fun day, so I'm dressed a little bit casual because I know there's too many of you that just go out of your way that you want to get your hands on me, and so I didn't need nobody pinching me, so this is thank you. This is my green look. So that's why I sort of went a little bit casual, just so I could sport the green, because I got this morning, I was all dressed, suited up, and I was like, oh no, I can already see what's going to be going on today. They're going to be pinching on me and stuff like that, so I'm not going to go through all that. You know what would be happening, Sabrina. Come on. You know. You be at the front of the line. You're the line. So, a couple of things. I got today, this has been really, really good. Here's the deal with this. I'm not going to be talking smack about this as much as I'm a smack talker, and here's why I'm not going to be talking smack about it. It's not sustainable. Where my base shop is right now, that's not sustainable. So I'm not fooling myself. I could talk smack because I got it for a moment, and then it's just going to come right back at me. Because why is it not sustainable? Because we don't have the recruiting momentum for it to be sustainable. And because I don't have enough independent leaders inside of my base shop for it to be sustainable. So what Michael said was right. It's like I put up like 18,000 personal last month, which is a good month for me. Like Isabel had another 18 or 20. Dougie Fresh had like another 18 or 20. And so that like all those cylinders sort of hit at the right time, but it's just not sustainable. And I've been in the business long enough that I know what metrics to look at and what to pay attention to.
Right.
And so some of you today got up here and got recognized today, and some of you are in my shoes. Like you had a big number, it feels good to be recognized, it feels good to speak, but it's not sustainable because of how you got it and the activity behind it. Like even the blind squirrel comes across a nut every once in a while, right? So I was a blind squirrel last month. We came across 3 nuts, right? 3 of us hit at the same time, and it looks pretty, but it's not sustainable. Some of you this month didn't get recognized. Some of you didn't get a chance to speak this month. Why? Because the numbers didn't show up, but you're doing all the freaking right things. You're doing all the right things. And like, I know enough to be able to look at the metrics, look at your business, talk to you for a few minutes and go, man, they didn't get recognized. Matter of fact, where they ranked this month looks bad. I'd invest a ton of money in them. I'd invest my time in them because of the consistency of where they're at and the fundamentals that they're working at. And I know that one like is going to break free. Others, like it looks shiny on the surface, looks exciting. I'm like, I wouldn't invest no money into that because it's not sustainable. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So, my message to some of you is don't get too high by your success. Others of you, like, don't beat yourself up too much because you didn't speak. If you're not doing the right things, double beat yourself up. Right? Like Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber, like really give yourself a good ass whooping, right? You deserve it. But some of you that are really, really working at the right things, trust the process. Trust the process. So, a couple of things I want to go through. I need to go through some real basic fundamental stuff, and we're going to go party at Dave & Buster's. Everybody's welcome to join us, but we're recognizing today the Last Man Standing contest winners from our first Last Man Standing contest in February in the Chino office. But everybody's welcome to join us if you want. So we're going to be having some fun and games out there, eating some food, breaking bread, but also watching a little bit of basketball. So you don't have to be streaming on your phone, Christine. Right? I don't know if you guys saw this, like the Pentagon, they sent out like major alerts to all their employees, like of the amount of trouble they get in today for streaming the tournament. I thought that was pretty funny. You know, I mean, as a taxpayer, I appreciate it, but I sort of thought it was funny, right? So one thing, how many of you guys remember Juan Jaime speaking at our Wells Bowl? How many of you like to be running his base shop? Right? That's consistent, right? Eric Olson's base shop, maybe you like a piece of that? Paul Hart's? Can I show you the one of the little secrets for success that all 3 of them do? One of the secrets of sort of Olson's hierarchy with the base shops do. So, Mark Onstadt, after Juan's talk, gave Juan a drive back to San Diego Airport. And they're driving, and Mark's got a pretty good business, right? He's about to promote out his 3rd SMD. They're well over in production as far as hitting the MD. They're just waiting to produce the 3rd SMD, and I think Daniel Holt's about 7,000 points short, so they're right there. And Daniel's a beast. So Mark's $250,000 earner, nearing $2 million net worth in the bank, saved up. I mean, he's got a great program in place because of WFG, and has had a lot of success. You know, he's won the New York trip, the leadership account, the whole deal, right? So he's got reasons to feel confident about his business. He's produced other SMBs. He's not just an SMB himself. He's got a good overall business, right? And he's dropping Juan back, and they're having a business conversation about Mark's business, and about Mark's base shop, and about what Juan's doing and Mark's not doing. Because Juan's not necessarily a better speaker than Mark. I don't think anybody outworks Mark. Mark works hard at the right things, right? So Mark's looking for what are some of the differences between Juan's success and Mark's success. And Juan asks him a question, because any great leader, just like a great doctor, just like a great advisor to a client, is going to ask questions first to diagnose. And so Juan's just poking around asking questions. He's like, well, what night do you have BPMs? Mark's like, I think Tuesday night. He's like, well, tell me about your BPMs. Mark walks through. He goes, okay, check, doing all the right things during the BPMs. He's like, what time do you get home after your BPMs? Mark's like, you know, BPM ends at like 9. I'm home by like 9:30, quarter to 10, maybe 10. Juan Jaime like busts out crying, laughing, like crying, like it was almost offensive to Mark, because Mark's just answering the question just like, what do you have for breakfast this morning? Well, I had cereal and milk, like just like a routine answer, right? And Juan Jaime is crying, laughing at him like, that's absurd. You think you're going to be successful being home that early on a BPM night? Because, and Mark's like, well, what's that like? I don't like. Why is that so funny? He goes, bro, I'm never home on a BPM night before 1 in the morning. Sometimes 2. Like never. And Mark is like flabbergasted. Well, Mark wants to get up the next morning, green time, make his calls. He's like, well, like to Mark, that's all just like socializing and playing grab bot and just like making people feel good, like a waste of time. I got to get back in the office next morning, make calls, run appointments. Mark's like, why? What do you do? Because rather than be offended,
Right.
Mark wants to learn. Some people would just be like sitting in their space and being offended that they're sort of being called out that way, right? Mark, it's like it doesn't even show up that way. Just what do you do? And Mark's sure that he's going to hear a bunch of nonsense that's just like a waste of time, but he doesn't care what he thinks he's going to hear. He just wants to learn, right? So Mark starts asking him. He's like, well, he goes, we just stay late and train. He's like, well, what do you train on? He's like, objection handling, closing, and recruiting. He goes, what else do you train on? Objection handling, closing, and recruiting. What else do you cover? Objection handling, closing, and recruiting. Don't your people get tired of hearing that stuff, the same stuff over and over and over? You know what Juan said? No, they get good at it. See, we live in an environment where we keep wanting to hear new things. Over and over and over. We keep wanting to be inspired, learn some new things. And we keep thinking that the reason that we're not successful yet after all these years that we've been here is because something's missing. Something we don't know yet. Something we haven't learned yet. It's just not the case. Once you've been here like 3 months, it's just not the case. Actually, my latest protege, Wesley Tullis, many of you guys know, late 20s, tall guy with a beard, really like enviable beard, right? The glasses. He's been here now right at about 3 months, 2.5 months, I think, close to 3 months. Like he knows pretty much everything he needs to know now. There's still some things he needs to learn, but from a learning the fundamentals and developing the skills, like he's there. So he can come to meetings for years, keep looking to learn something that he's missing, but he has already been exposed to and learned the fundamentals that he needs to be successful here, for sure. Now it's a matter of him doing the fundamentals. And so what Juan Jaime's group does, and Eric Olson's group does, and Phil Hart's group does, is they practice and drill and rehearse the fundamentals till they're blue in the face. It's not mandatory. If you don't stay afterwards, you're not shamed. You know, people don't talk bad about you. If you stay for a while, then you have to leave because you have to get up at 4 in the morning. You look like it's whoever wants to stay. But what they figure is like our part-timers are here, and we got them for a short period. Like we got them here one night a week for sure. Hopefully they come up, but we got them here for a night. So the guys that are here, as long as they'll stay, we'll keep teaching them how to overcome objections, how to close, and how to recruit people. Because at the end of the day, if you can overcome objections, if you can close and you can recruit people, then when they're away from the office in their daily lives, they're going to be getting results. And if they're going to be getting results, then they're going to keep coming back to meetings. And they're going to be bringing guests and bringing apps in. So we started last night our first, we called it Alexander training, and I'm not sure what time it ended. I just know I didn't get home till 12:30 last night, which is like crazy late for me these days since my heart attack. It's like crazy late, and then I didn't get to bed till like 1:30 or something like that, just insane. But I think it was a good first step for us. So do I want to do that at this stage of my career? hell no. Hell no. Like you have no idea, like what a like I just don't function. Like I used to be able to, I used to not be able to function on 8 hours of sleep. Like it was just, you know, I was 4 or 5 hours sleep, I'm good, boom, right? And it's like the mind is still good, but my body just don't work that way anymore. But we got started that last night. Why? Because I want this to become sustainable again, like it used to was. And it's not going to be sustainable if I don't change as the leaders, I don't begin doing what I'm doing, if I don't begin developing more independent people than I have right now. So, I wanted to share that with you real quick. In the interest of trusting the process, I want to share with you guys a couple of fundamental things today that I think are unbelievably important. Because so many of us keep looking for the new thing. Here's what I want to share with you guys. A couple of things that you've heard before, and I don't care if you've heard it before. I don't care if they're not new to you. It just really doesn't matter to me. Like, you know the reason that Mark's office has consistently high recruiting numbers, has been double-digit recruiting for a couple of years now consistently? Because all they talk about is baseline units of activity. That's all they talk about. You know what they talk about every single full-timers meeting? Call Mark and ask him. Every single Monday morning full-timers meeting, they bring their sheets and that's what they talk about. Well, that's sort of boring. That sort of sounds like accountability. Don't they sell the dream and talk about their brand and social media and marketing and new sales? No, they talk about what they actually did that last week and what they can learn from the results of their activities and the adjustments they need to make in the new week. It's like Christine Smith was a baller back in the day, right? She could go on a basketball court. And she's developed like lots of ballers. You know what? All of the kids that she's trained, you know what she talks to them about? Conditioning is one element to the game. They got to be in good shape. Ball handling, which means dribbling the ball, passing, and shooting, and defending. That's what they do. Like, that's what she talks about, and that's what they practice over and over and over. That's how you take kids and make them elite athletes. It's by them getting great at the fundamentals. There's not like some new idea in basketball that's revolutionary. You're putting the ball in the hole, right? It's about getting great at the fundamentals. And for us, Rich Thawley has said this many times, right? Variety is the spice of life, right? You need variety to keep things sexy and interesting. You know what variety is? Variety is the Super 100 contest or competition. Variety is the March Madness contest. Variety is SMD University. Variety is like putting lipstick on the pig and making things temporarily exciting. Right? Variety is the spice of life. But monotony is the key to building wealth. Monotony is, you know what monotony is? Living below your means and saving money every single week. And then watching it grow. You know what monotony is? Getting in the gym or doing some form of exercise every day for a half an hour, 45 minutes. You know what monotony is? It's making the calls on a daily basis. You know what monotony is taking time for your spouse and your kids on a daily basis. You know what monotony is taking time to do your devotionals or your scripture or your expression of faith on a daily basis for a short period of time. Right? Like, monotony is the key to really building like strong habits, strong identity, and strong success in any area of your life. And it's getting clear on what are these few things that I have to do every day and making them non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. Nikki gave a testimony earlier this morning about one of her like rules that she has about like green time and making her calls from 9 to 11, and she last week allowed somebody to set an 11 o'clock appointment, which means she wouldn't be in the office at 9, and like by 1 o'clock that afternoon, like, it doesn't matter whether she had a successful appointment or not, like she just felt completely out of sorts, completely out of whack, because she had broken her own structure, her own consistency, her own monotony, right? That's the power of strong, successful habits. What we've allowed to happen for too many of us in WFG is build strong habits that produce weak results. In other words, your habit is very, very strong, it's just not a good habit, right? Like your habit of attending meetings but not actually applying what you hear or learn. I'm not being like, I'm really not being funny. Like, one of the reasons Wesley is such a great protege is I literally tell him things once. Literally. I can't remember the last thing I told him, I want you to make this adjustment, I want you to do this, I want you to try and do things this way. I can't remember the last thing that I told him and he didn't, like, immediately just do. And it's not because he's a people pleaser, but it literally just goes through no filter. He really believes that I know what I'm talking about more than he knows what he's talking about, and I've got his best interest at heart, and he ought to just try and do it my way. Like, it goes through no filter. He just immediately makes these adjustments. I'm like, holy, and like this kid literally, I would literally put him out in the field against any one of you guys. Any one of you guys. I was sharing with the leaders in there. You know how many ASAP appointments he saw me do before he did his first one? 0. 0. He's never seen me do one, ever. I said, hey, watch Edson, watch Mark Onstad on YouTube. Here's a flip chart. I want you to work on it a little bit, and then come and sit in my office and role play it a couple times. And the first appointment that you have scheduled, you're going to do it. I didn't want to waste the time. I wanted to get right to him taking action and learning. He doesn't need to see me do it. There's great models on YouTube. Edson's unbelievable at it. Onstad's unbelievable. You got 2 great examples right there. I mean, that's an unbelievably underutilized resource right there. Just helped Nikki recruit Justin Santana. Guy's making $350 in his day job, right? Had a conversation with him yesterday. Yesterday was Thursday. He's blown away at what we have on YouTube. Like he's like, I can't believe how freaking easy this deal is. He said, I can't believe how you guys have developed these processes for breaking down every skill set, making it so simple. He said that literally, he said, I've got so much, like I can recruit anybody. He said, they don't have to be like me. He said, they don't have to be like this overly ambitious A-type personality that's just driven. He goes, I could recruit anybody and literally give them these processes. He said, I can teach anybody how to be successful. He said, the only limit is how successful they want to be. He said, and like he's looking at this, he's like, I can't believe this. And yet, we all have access to this YouTube, right? Many of us, it's like, it's been a long time since you watched anything on there. Because you already think that you're good enough. But I look at your results, and then I look at some of the people's results that we heard from today, and some of the people's results that are on the YouTube, and I'm like, get our pride out of the way, get our egos out of the way, and let's make a commitment like Christine would do with her ball players, just to getting better. Not to say that I already know I'm already good enough. If you were already good enough, your numbers would be up here over and over and over again. Consistently. It just would, like, if you're doing the right thing, just like I was talking to Christine yesterday about trusting the process. So I'll talk about basketball. It doesn't matter if you don't understand sports or not. But in basketball, a good team who's playing basketball the right way, who is fundamentally, they're passing, they're finding the open man. When they have an open shot at the basket, God bless you, they're not taking bad shots, they're taking them when they're open. And they've got good shooting mechanics. Sometimes you can be open and have good mechanics and miss the shot. Does that make sense even to people who don't follow basketball?
Yes.
Right? And so as a result, sometimes you can be having open shots and taking shots with good mechanics and missing baskets, and you could be losing to a team who's not as good as you. Right now, Nikki's base shot is freaking 1,000,000 times better than mine. Mine beat her last month. It's not because my base shop's better. I'm not fooling myself. Her base shop is a much stronger base shop. They're well trained. They know they know when to take shots when they get open looks, and they have good mechanics. And she's got more athletes on that team that are well trained. But for a short period of time, my team, with a couple of shooters, knocked down some lucky shots and beat her. I'm not fooling myself and thinking that like I'm going to the championship this year, base shop to base shop, based on my squad versus her squad. I know better. She needs to trust the process, knowing she's got the right athletes, she's trained them the right way, and here's what I told Christine yesterday. if you keep getting open looks and your mechanics are right, trust the process. The baskets are going to start falling. You know what I can almost promise you this month? It's not that I'm not competitive. It's not that I'm wishing this to happen. Nikki's base shot's probably going to beat mine this month. You know what's probably going to happen next month? It's probably going to beat mine again. Why? Because she's got more athletes that are better trained than I do. I have fewer.
Right.
It's not a disrespect to Isabel or Doug or any of my athletes. She's just got more that are better trained. So if she trusts the process, more times than not, she's going to work her way out of that slump and the shots are going to hit. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes.
So you've got to trust the process. But you can't trust the process if your mechanics are bad or you're not taking open shots. Too many of us sit in these meetings and we learn about basketball, but we never shoot when we leave the meetings. We never take a shot. We never put the ball in our hands. It's like, well, don't put me in the game yet, I'm not ready. Wesley never saw me do an ASAP. He showed up ready. No sales experience, no experience in financial services. He was an assistant to Rick Warren down in the church. He worked in the church. He'd never done anything sales related. His first appointment, he ran the ASAP. He was ready from day one when I said, I believe in you, here's the ball, I want you to start shooting. He didn't get caught up in his head, well, I'm not trained enough, I'm not good enough, I don't know if I can do this. I said, trust me, I'll be right here by you. If you need to, you can always hand the ball over to me. And he was ready to start shooting. Some of you have been sitting on the bench for a long time, and even when it's time for your name to be called, you don't want to come in the game. Or you come in the game and it's like they pass the ball to you and you immediately pass it to someone else. I don't want to shoot because I might miss. I might miss. You're so afraid of missing that and then, okay, whoo, I'm tired. Oh, I think I pulled a hammy. Take me out, coach. You just pat, right? You haven't done anything. And so you've got to give yourself a chance to win. There's two things that I want to share with you today that if you do them consistently, I know that you'll win here at whatever level you're capable of winning. Here's what I've told Wesley and I've told every agent that I've ever trained. Steve's been doing this for over 25 years. Can you imagine how many thousands of people he sat down with in the field? Nikki's been doing it for over 15, Michael like 10, Natalie over 10, right? Maloney, 15. Here's what I told Wesley. Somewhere between 75 to 100 appointments on your own once you're validated. Sometimes somewhere between a 75 to 100. The extra years of an experience that Steve or Jim or Nikki or Michael or Natalie have on you doesn't make a difference at all. From, I think, like 75 to 100 appointments, and there's what we call the law of diminishing returns, right? It's just like, all of a sudden you get to a point where it's like, yeah, the extra repetitions make a difference, but it's more and more minute. It's like, what's the difference between a mutual fund having like 400 company stocks in there and 500 or 600 or 800? Well, it's more diversified, but as far as the risk minimalization, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Does that make sense? So, once you get to about 75 to 100 appointments, you're somewhere in this range. So, what closes the gap now, to me, is talent and hunger. Might call that desire. I think once he's at 75 or 100 appointments, the difference between him and Steve, or him and Jim, or him and Nikki in the field is going to be his natural talents and gifts and his hunger. How bad he wants to be somebody. So what does that mean? That means he can outproduce a Steve, or a Nikki, or a Michael Paul, or a Natalie consistently once he's had somewhere between 75 to 100 appointments. He can consistently outproduce them. Their additional years and years of experience. Here's what that means. The sooner you get to 75 to 100, once you get to that point, you can catch anybody in the company. That ratio is probably true not only of client appointments, I would say that ratio is probably true of one-on-ones as well, of recruiting people. Once you've had enough, now if you spread these 75 to 100 appointments over 6 to 8 years of your career, then no. That analogy doesn't mean anything, okay? It's gotta be over a compressed time frame where it's back to back to back to back repetitions. Does that make sense? Yes? Am I boring you guys?
No.
I know this is like lower law. The higher law part of it is you can catch anybody in this room, you can catch anybody in the hierarchy, you can catch anybody in the company. You can outproduce or out-recruit Dean Charlier, or Nikki Cannon, or Melinda Blue Taylor, or Francis Ho, Eric Olson, Paul Hart, Juan Jaime, you name it, Ed Milet, once you get yourself here. But you're not going to get yourself there if you don't get it off the bench in the game and start shooting and working on the fundamentals. So what are the fundamentals I need to work on? I'm going to show you it's like a 6-minute video that I think is one of the fundamentals that you have to get good at. And then I'm going to give my closing comments and we're done. So we'll actually finish early today. Jimmy just said, I'll believe it when I see it. Jimmy, can't believe you just said that.
Get out of my
Oh, wait, will I get volume on this or no? Turn up the volume?
No, it's gonna be right over here.
Can I get volume? No? That's what all my fans say.
Switch it, no, turn it down, Stephanie.
Okay,
Switch the
so,
knob to game.
so let's pass these out quickly and quietly. I'm gonna start here, Mike, you wanna start in the back? Ricky, you wanna start on 2 corners back here? Steve, you wanna take this to the back corner and start back there? Alright, you got the volume up when I start it? Hey guys, how are you? Day 3. I'm super excited about day 3. Day 1 was all about SMU University. Day 2 was all about the baseline units of activity and creating the activity necessary and tracking it on a daily basis to help you achieve the goals beyond your wildest dreams. The reason that you and I both got started here. And so, here's what day 3 is about. For those of you that were with Eli Wilhide and myself on Friday night, or for those of you that missed, I want to talk to you about the most significant enhancement to goal setting and goal achieving that I've ever come across. It's about be, do, have. For us to have the kind of life and achieve the kind of things that we want to, what do we need to do? And for us to do those things, who do we need to be? So it's about be, do, have. Have is about the goal. What's the goal? I'm about to pass out to all of you on GroupMe a tracking sheet that's going to help you with this, where we can list up to 6 goals. Then underneath each one of those goals, I want you to list out 1 to 3 habits that you need to do on a daily basis to achieve those goals. And then underneath the habits, what are the values? Who do you need to be? Because after all, we're not human doings, we're human beings. Who do you need to be? Remember this, the strongest force in the human spirit is to remain consistent with one's identity. Who do you need to be to achieve the goals that you've set for yourself this year? Let me give you a 4 example. Let's say the goal is, I want 4 directs a month. That's awesome. Great goal. That's going to help you win at a massive level. Maybe you've had that goal before and failed. Maybe you've never felt comfortable setting that goal before because it was too big. It's totally doable. But what do I need to do? What are the habits necessary for achieving the goal? Well, maybe one of them is 30 baseline units of activity a day. Maybe another one is 8 confirmed guests per week. Maybe another one is I need to come up with 5 new prospects daily. So there's 3 habits I'm going to put underneath the goal of 4 directs. I'm going to put those 3 habits. Or maybe I've chosen a different habit. Now, lastly, who do I need to become to be the person that's doing those habits? Maybe where it says I am, maybe I need to become more hungry or more determined or more enthusiastic or more outgoing. So where it says I am, I'm going to list those. You've got up to 12 different values that you can list there, 12 different ideals of who it is that you need to become. Who do I need to be more of? Do I need to be more competitive, more disciplined? Do I need to be more enthusiastic? Do I need to be more charismatic? Do I need to be more determined or more certain or more confident? Whatever those values are for you, I want you to list them in order 1 through 12 and put them. Go ahead and write them down as we're going through this.
So that
on
what
your
do we do on a
sheet.
daily basis.
we read our goals, and then we look at the habit underneath the goals, and we just simply score it 1 to 10. How did I do yesterday? Well, in terms of hitting 30 baseline units, I did about a 7. I fell a little bit short on that goal. As far as 8 confirmed guests, I got 2 confirmed guests yesterday, so that was pretty much a 9 out of 10. That was pretty much on pace with what I needed to do. As far as 5 prospects daily, I actually got 6 yesterday, so I'm going to give myself a 10 out of 10 on that one. So just simply remember this, awareness is the first step to change. The scoring of the habits on a daily basis on a scale of 1 to 10, all it does is makes me more aware. If I scored poorly, if I got a 0, a 1, or 2, or a 3, or a 4 yesterday, I'm gonna be more aware today of my activities in that area, of the choices that I make, so I can become more congruent in the choices that I make today, so that they're more congruent with the goals that I want to achieve. Remember this, where performance is measured, performance improves. As I measure things daily, I'm gonna get better at performing in those areas. Imagine if my goal is to lose 20 pounds, and I weighed myself once a month. What are the chances of me reaching that goal? Probably not very good. What if I weighed myself weekly? Probably the odds are gonna go up, but probably not good enough. But if I weigh myself daily, I'll begin to make the daily changes that I need to make in my diet, drinking water, exercise, what I'm eating, how much I'm eating, that's gonna keep me on track, and it's easier to make those daily adjustments. So I'm gonna score my habits on a scale of 1 to 10 so that I'm aware, and so that I can make the adjustments daily. Then in a peak state, I'm gonna, after I've read my goals, after I've scored on a scale of 1 to 10, then in a peak state, what am I gonna do next? I'm gonna read my I am statements out loud with tons of energy. This is not an affirmation, I'm not reading this quietly in my mind. Maybe I'm turning up loud music so people don't hear how crazy I'm going. And it would sound something like this: I am hungry, I am hungry, I'm hungry. And then maybe my next one is, I am charismatic, I am energetic, I am enthusiastic, and each one I'm gonna say 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times until I really feel what it feels like to feel totally enthusiastic, totally energetic, whatever your words are. And then once I'm done reading each one of those, and maybe you have 8 of those words, or 10 of those words, or 12 of those words, of who you need to be more of, what do I need to be more like, then lastly what I'm gonna do is visualize. And you see at the bottom of the sheet it says visualize. And at that point, I'm gonna encourage you, once you've gone through your I am statements, to close your eyes. I want you to picture what you have scheduled that day. Who are the people that you need to meet? Who are the people that you're gonna interact with throughout the day? From your spouse and your kids, or your parents, or other family members or friends, colleagues and teammates in the office, to prospects that you're gonna meet and for the first time, to people that you're gonna call on the phone, to appointments that you're gonna have, or guests that you're gonna meet. I want you to picture each one of those interactions in your mind. I want you to picture it going as perfectly as possible. The way you're communicating with them, your energy, how they're receiving you. I want you to feel what it feels like to have every one of those interactions go as best as they possibly can. I want you to picture yourself showing up for all of your meetings and appointments early. You're there 3 or 4 or 5 minutes early, and you're not rushed, you're not harried, you're able to drive the speed limit, you're relaxed and you're confident, you're prepared, you got everything in place. I want you to feel the feelings, what it feels like to show up that way for your appointments and meetings, and to interact with people that way. And I want you to hear what you'd be saying to yourself throughout the day as your confidence is building, as you're enjoying the day, as everything you touch turns to gold. And what are others saying to you? How are they affirming you? How are they recognizing you? How are they showing their appreciation or gratitude for you? So what are you saying to yourself, and what are others saying to you or about you? How does that make you feel? How do you feel as each sort of task and event of the day is checked off successfully? What does it feel like? What does it look like to you? And at the end of the day, what does it look like as you're going to bed and resting and feeling confident in the day and what you've achieved? That's the last step, visualizing. It's about being who you need to be and doing what you need to do so you can have what you want to have. And if you take this process of reading your goals, scoring your habits each day from the previous day, getting yourself in a peak emotional state and conditioning that state, conditioning the state of confidence or enthusiasm, or conditioning the state of hunger or determination, you condition that state, and then you visualize your ideal day. You spend 10 or 12 or 15 minutes a day doing that, and then you go spend the next 10 or 12 or 14 or 16 or 18 hours of that day living out that picture and feeling the congruency of those feelings. man, we're gonna have an awesome day, we're gonna have an awesome week, and we're gonna have an awesome month. You combine that along with tracking your daily baseline units of activity that we talked about yesterday, and you combine that with S&D University this Saturday, hey, we're setting ourselves up for a great week, and a great month, and a great quarter, and an ideal year, a year that might be fit to be called our best year ever. Appreciate you guys. The form is available on GroupMe. Put it to use starting today. Live your dreams.
It's only better than me. Two of me. I actually duplicated myself for the first time ever. Isn't that awesome? Oh. So, you take this sheet, right? Let me just give you a little bit of background. The reason I had Eli train on this is he was working with a group. This is actually, okay, Brandon Bircher, you guys know who he is?
Yes.
Alright, so, Eli was working with a group. I guess I need to turn off the airplay, huh? That's really a big deal. Eli was working with a group, like a network marketing type of group. And he, with the two founders of this network marketing company, put together a 4-day training for all of their $500,000 earners and up. So all their $500,000, $750,000, and $1 million earners and up. They put together a 4-day training that he's now done like 3 different times for them. And they began opening it up to people who aren't in their $500,000 a year earners and up, but they're charging $10,000 for the 4 days. And so since it's not copyrighted, since Eli helped to create it, I asked him if he'd share it with you guys. This is the genesis of what they created. This is the genesis of what they're spending 4 days teaching people that want to spend $10,000 to have their best year either. It's the most cutting edge ideas in goal achievement that there is. Some of you guys here, it's just like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, next. Oh, that's a good idea, next. Oh, that's a good idea, next. Oh, I wonder what they're going to train on tonight. Oh, I hope Nikki's doing training this Saturday. I want to be inspired. I want to be sold the dream. It is literally, write down the goal at the top. I want you each now, right now, to do it now, because here's what I know. 70% of you won't fill this out once you leave the meeting. You just won't. You'll have the best of intentions, and the road to hell is paved with good intentions. You have good, and you just won't do it. So I want you to write down, what's one of your goals in business? Write it down. Is it 2 directs? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 10 apps? Is it a certain cash flow? What's one of your monthly goals? Monthly goals is what we're looking for here. Write down a second monthly goal. Write down a third monthly goal. What's one of your non-WFG goals? Like you heard Isabel speaking this morning that she wants to lose 10 pounds. So put that on. I'm just kidding. She melt away. Maybe it's a faith goal. Maybe it's an exercise goal. But remember, goals have to be measurable. So write it down. Now take any one of those goals, and underneath it, you don't have to have 3 habits under the goal, but you can have up to 3 habits. What are 1, 2, or 3 habits that you would need to do on a daily basis to support you in achieving the goal? I'll give you an example. I've got a weight goal. Underneath my weight goal, one of my daily habits is how much water I drink. There's a specific number of ounces that I want to drink on a daily basis. So every day I score myself on a scale of 1 to 10 as to how I did reaching that daily intake of water. One of the things that I do is I make an entire pitcher, a Vitamix pitcher, the whole pitcher. I make an entire pitcher every day, and I pack it like 3/4, like 80%, like as much super greens as I can put in there, like kale, Swiss chard, and spinach, frozen. Like I pack it all like to within this much of the very top of the Vitamix. Then I put in about 2 handfuls of frozen strawberries. I put in 3 or 4 tablespoons of chia or flax seeds. I put in about 1.5 scoops of pea-based, plant-based protein powder. Not too much. I'm not too high on all the protein. I put in filtered water and I blend it, and then it usually makes 2 to, like today I've got 2.5 of these. So today I'm through like 1.5 of these, but that's just one of the things I do. So scale 1 to 10, right? And then exercise. I want to make sure I do at least 30 minutes of exercise every day. So those are my 3 habits underneath my weight goal. And every day I just score myself 1 to 10. How did I do on those 3 habits? Because is it possible I could go a day or 2 or 3 or 4 days and not lose a pound? Is that possible? Could that be like frustrating? Could then I could do some emotional eating and get off track because what I'm doing isn't working. But if I know that if I do these habits consistently and if I trust the process, these habits will help me to achieve the goal. If your goal is 3 directs this month, is it possible you could go a whole week and not get a direct?
Yes.
Has that ever happened to anyone? It has? Oh, okay. So if you're just focused on the goal, you could be beating yourself up. But if you've got 2 or 3 habits underneath there that you know are important to reaching that goal of 3 directs, as far as how many calls you make a day, or your baseline units of activity, or getting 8 guests for the week, and each day you know you're making progress on those activities, then you're going to stay focused on the process and on those activities. If you keep scheduling 8 guests a week, keep hitting a baseline of 25 units of activity, and keep getting 1 new name and number a day, do you feel pretty confident about hitting 3 directs at the end of the month? Yes or no? Yes. Do you feel pretty confident about hitting 3 directs every month? Now you could follow that process and have 1 month where you only get 1. But then it wouldn't be unusual if the next month you got 5, because you know that those activities, if you do them daily, just like a basketball shooter can go through a bad streak of shots, even though their mechanics are good, you just know if you do those things daily, it's going to play out. And so the key is you're looking at your goal every day, but more importantly, you're tracking the little activities, the little things that, see, you winning and losing in this business is this small. The difference between you winning massively and struggling is this small. It's a couple of little things that you're doing every day or not doing every day. Not most days, not some of the time, every freaking day. You're either doing those things every day or you're not. You know what I know Nikki did every day for years and years and years? She showed up every morning and made more calls than anybody else in the office for years. And what she has today is a result of little discipline she did on a daily basis. Every day. Maniacally. I just sent Lori a text this morning reminding her of who she was when I met her and how much she grew and what she has to show for it today. Right? But it's because she did certain things. People look and go, well, how is she making all this money? Because she did certain things every day, relentlessly for years. And it's these little things that make all the difference for you. The incantations. Christine Smith, earlier, what did you say about Sabrina earlier?
That she's competitive?
Yes.
That
she's competitive. Now, to some of us that know Sabrina, for somebody else to say that sincerely and mean it is like one of the funniest things that we've ever heard in our entire lives. Because for years, not only would Sabrina say she's not competitive, she'd almost say it as like a badge of honor. That I'm just not competitive. I still want to win and all these, but I'm just not competitive. She would say that. And it was a part of who she is. It's a part of her identity. Sabrina, would you get up for a second? Can you share with us a little bit about being hungry and competitive?
Wow. I remember when, I would say my affirmations every day, but I didn't have anything that really I needed to have resonate with me. And I'm going to tell you how resourceful, and I'm competitive. So, last man standing, I'm like, you know what? I'm not going out. I'm going to do what I need to do to stay in the game. Well, I'm at 7-Eleven. 2 of the guys that I see all the time, they're standing out there. You know how people hang out at Starbucks? They hang out at 7-Eleven. But the owner comes out, and I said, hey, Sonny, and he's a client. Can I use the back room? He's like, I don't care, I got it 20 years of going there every day. So I went in the back, so I became resourceful, and I became competitive when I had those 2 guys come in the back, and I ran an ASAP for 2 people in the back small area of 7-Eleven. So, and then I went to another place where it's not life insurance, but a car insurance place. And he's laying on the couch, and I walked in, I'm like, Moni, what's going on? And I got his card before, gave him my card. And then I said, you know what, I've never really talked to you. So you got about 20, 30 minutes? He said, yeah, I'm not busy. So I did another one. Then I go to my mom's, and I'm like, my mom's like, have you ever talked to a neighbor? You know this neighbor over here? And I said, no, I haven't. So I went over there and did a one-on-one with him. Those incantations are really, I needed that. I needed it more than, I think, I don't know, I'll say it than any of you, that I am hungry. And I get up in the morning, and when I'm driving, remember we talked about that? Christopher said people probably think he's crazy, but I look in the rearview mirror and I'm like, I'm hungry, I'm competitive. And then I go to bed at night, and Michael thought it was really crazy. I'm in the bathroom and I'm saying to myself, and you know what? The results are there. The results are coming out of, I always knew I was competitive, but I just didn't, I don't know, I didn't tell myself enough that I was competitive. I kept telling myself I wasn't competitive. When deep down I know I was pissed when I didn't win something. So put down incantations that you need to help you get out of that space that you need to get out of. And say them every morning and every night, and trust me, the results will happen. If they happen to me, they can happen to all of you guys.
Give it up for Sabrina. I want you to just pay attention, right? Prove me right or prove me wrong, but what was her energy like when she said I'm resourceful? What was her energy like when she said I'm competitive? What was her energy like when she said I was like, could you just see like her whole physiology shift? Yes. Why was that? Because she's conditioned herself for about 3 weeks now of saying those words over and over until she knows what it feels like for her to feel competitive. Now feeling competitive and saying she's competitive is like it's like a turn on for her. It's like she's turning on all of her energy. She's turning on her whole body, and it's a point of excitement for her. She used to like almost brag like I'm not competitive. And her energy would be like, anytime we'd be talking about competing, it would be like her energy would like get low and withdraw. Now it's like a source of strength. She's conditioning herself. It's 5, 6, 8, 10 minutes a day. But over 3 weeks, all of a sudden now she's got a colleague of hers getting up and introducing her as competitive. Isn't that weird? She's literally shifting her identity. So how do we shift our identity? The first way is exactly that. When you go through and you're tracking your habits, you're tracking your goals, and you're beginning to do those incantations out loud with energy, I'll tell you this, Tony Robbins, he will not let you work in his organization if you don't spend at least 10 minutes a day on conditioning. Eli Wilhite has one of these little bouncers. It's like a mini trampoline. He has a Proxima projecting all of, you know how some people have like a vision board? He has all of these pictures, and it projects like this 15-minute long video, in a huge size in the wall where he lives. So he's on this bouncer, so he's moving his physiology, and he's saying his incantations while he's looking at this huge visualization of what he wants in his life. He takes himself through that conditioning process every day. Why? Because conditioning works. Why did people pay Christine Smith for their young kids to train with her? Because conditioning works. She's conditioning their mind and their mechanics and their bodies to play at a higher level. And we think that we're too busy to do this. Your mind is already being conditioned. The question is it TMZ? Is it Sports Center? Is it the Housewives? Is it some junk on the internet? Is it just your environment? It's already being conditioned. You can take control of the conditioning in 10 minutes a day. You just see, this is after 3 weeks. If Sabrina continues to do this for 3 months and 3 years, what do you think the trajectory looks like for her in our business? What do you think it looks like for her in life? Good or bad? Good or bad?
Good.
Like, I bet a lot on Sabrina right now, and I bet a lot on Christine right now, and neither one of them got recognized this month. But I bet a lot on them for what they're doing from a conditioning standpoint on a daily basis. So I want to encourage you to rethink your commitment. Don't do it for me. This is not about me. This is about you conditioning yourself to be the best that you can be. Like, if you ever feel like, well, sometimes I'm anxious or nervous or feel self-doubt or I'm just not confident or I just like, right? It's just a conditioning thing. You've conditioned yourself over years to feel anxious or self-doubt or worried or overwhelmed or frustrated. You can condition yourself to be empowered, to be resourceful, to be confident, to be resourceful, to be careless. You can condition yourself, and what you do in private, you'll be rewarded for publicly. It's just a matter of time. So that's step one. Yes, please.
Also with Sabrina, though she deep down knew she was competitive, she always attached negative outcomes to being competitive. She always attached, competition means that I may lose and then I'll feel bad. Or competition means that someone that I like or love may lose and then I'll feel bad for them. She always was attaching negativity to being competitive.
Because she had values in conflict.
Right. And so in saying the incantations, she was able to be congruent between the two. Same thing with Christine and what she was thinking about. Well, I got all these top 10 references to call. There's all this work instead of thinking this is a gold mine that I'm sitting on. Let me get to these calls like right away. Just what you're attaching to your thought process is really important.
What Nikki's saying is super important. And those of you that are going to Tony Robbins next week will learn more about this. But a lot of times we have values that are in conflict with each other. And sometimes the reason we're not reaching goals in different areas of our life is because our values come into conflict. And when they come into conflict, then we don't follow through on things that we know that we want. And so one of the things this exercise does for you is you're listing out 8 or 10 or 12 values in a hierarchical order that you know are going to support you being the person that you need to be. Like sometimes we look at Nikki, or we look at Awan Jaime, or we look at Mark, or we look at Dan sort of in awe, like I wish I was just more like them in this area or that area. Michael made the joke, I wish I was like part Schlaven and part Charlier. There's parts of me and parts of Charlier that he'd like to have more of. You can. Like choose those parts and write them on the list. And begin conditioning your mind and your nervous system, your emotions, to feel that, not so that like, you don't want to be confident like Dan is confident. You don't want to mirror him. You want to be confident the way you look and feel and talk when you're confident. You don't need to try and be him. You don't need to try and be me or try and be Nikki. You just need to be the best you. And that's what this conditioning process will do for you. So, I was making a point, Nikki, that you got me started on. I lost my point. That's never happened. When they're in conflict. Oh, so here's what it is. So on that list, I listened to a podcast of Tony Robbins about 6 weeks ago. Of all the successful people that he's interviewed in all different industries, one of the top values, it's either number 1, number 2, or number 3 for all of these people. Hungry. Why do I say that? I'd encourage you to make that the first one that you do every single day. Because when you're hungry, you don't have ups and downs. When you're hungry, you don't get overly satisfied or content. You can still be appreciative and grateful for everything that you have, but sometimes our appreciation and our gratitude creates contentment and conflicts with our desire to be hungry and achieve. Make hungry the first. One of the things I love about The Rock, right, is one of his most famous quotes is always be the hardest working and the most humble and the hungriest guy in the room. It's one of the things I keep telling my kids over and over. So make hungry. You heard Sabrina I'm hungry. When you wake up and you're fully activating your entire nervous system to be hungry every day, right? I had a conversation with somebody. They said, well, but what if one of my goals is to lose weight? I don't want to keep telling myself I'm hungry, right? Right? saying it over and over at a neurological level, at an emotional level, do you know, can you feel the difference between what it feels like to be hungry to achieve something and hungry for food? Does it feel the same or does it feel different? It feels way different. What you're doing is practicing what it feels like to feel hungry for achievement.
Well, Sabrina hasn't gotten fat either.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're doing it over and over, you're not going to be confused because your body knows. And the point is not just you saying the words in your head or just saying, I am hungry, I'm confident, like it's an affirmation. But the important thing is to say it out loud and engage what it feels like. And it's going to feel awkward at first. It's going to feel weird. It's going to feel stupid. It's going to feel like I'm wasting my time. Like I'm too busy to do this. I need to make money. All of those things. But what's going to happen is if you do it, and I told Sabrina, I said, if you just do it for 3 weeks, I said, I don't know one person who's done it for 3 weeks that didn't have like a loved one or a colleague all of a sudden start to use the words that you're incanting to describe you. And I said, you're almost going to think like somebody's reading my list.
That's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah, Christine just read her list this morning. She introduced her as competitive. I bet it's the first time in Sabrina's career she's been introduced that way by a colleague, and somebody meant it sincerely. Nobody, we didn't, like, this was like a range. I didn't tell, hey Christine, here, I want you to do this because it's going to make Sabrina feel good and it's going to help me to make a point. Christine just did it because she just knows, like, Sabrina's really being competitive right now. I don't understand why, but she is. Well, now everybody understands why. You can become the most confident, the most resourceful, the hungriest, the most ambitious, the hardest working, the most charismatic, the most confident, the most enthusiastic, the most positive version of yourself that you ever dreamed you could be if you just condition yourself out. So that's number one. Number two, monotony builds wealth. This is the other thing.
Well,
Monotony builds wealth. It also builds health. Right? It builds everything. But baseline units of activity, whether you're part-time and you're doing 10 units of activity 3 times a week, or 12 units 4 times a week, or you're full-time and you're doing 20 units a day, or 15, or 35, I don't care. But I'm telling you, whether you want to get more direct recruits or more base shop recruits or more apps or more guests or more appointments or more cash flow or promotions, or you want to build more legs in your team, there's not a WFG goal that you could come up with that doesn't start with you making phone calls on a daily basis. And if you're not tracking them, where performance is measured, performance improves. If you're not accountable, you're not going to do it on the days that you don't feel like. If your calls are inconsistent and your days are inconsistent, your activity and your success and your cash flow is going to be inconsistent. When you do it daily and track it and you choose to be accountable, here's why I bet on Sabrina and Christine. I get this sheet from them every single day. They're not in my base shop. They're not even in my super base. They're second generation to me. I get them from them every single day. Get one from Edson every single day. Right? Be accountable because it helps you to shift your identity. The things that are going to shift your identity is you doing the incantations, you doing the work daily when you don't feel like it, and you being accountable daily. Because what begins to happen is when you trust the process, and this is the process, and do it on a daily basis, the activity eventually starts to get results. When the results start becoming consistent, your identity shifts up. And you don't have like the high months like I did this month and then a low month. It's just like you're consistently, your low months all of a sudden are what used to be a high month for you. And your high months go from there. Your whole identity shifts. It's about the consistency. Trust the process. You don't need some new idea. You really don't. If you've been here as long as Wesley, you know everything that you need to know. It's about you getting in the game and doing this and doing this daily. Do both of these for 3 weeks daily, being accountable to somebody, and then let's talk about what's working for you and where we can make adjustments. I'm not coaching anybody. I'm not doing one-on-one coaching like I am with Sabrina or Christine or Edson, like that isn't doing this. Because it's just not worth my time. It's a waste of my time. If they're doing the things daily that they need to be doing, I'll invest a lot of time in people. Cause I know that over time, if they're following this process, I know it's like, all I gotta do is help make small adjustments, and they're gonna do big things, okay? So, we just came off our best month ever as a hierarchy, and I just wanna say I appreciate you guys. Proud of how hard that you guys work, and I just wanna say, I just wanna sort of close in this. Some of you didn't get recognized, and I know how hard you're working, I know how bad you want it, and you're a couple small adjustments away. Don't quit doing the right things, and don't let anybody in your ear. If you're doing the right habits on a daily basis, keep doing them. Maybe increase what you're doing a little bit, but keep doing them. If you know right now your habits aren't consistent in the areas that we've talked about, make that your number one priority. Don't sacrifice the long term by chasing some sort of short term goal. Put as much time and energy as you need to into building a foundation that's gonna last over time. That foundation that we talked about this morning will last over a period of time. I absolutely promise you it will. And we're seeing people right now do things that we've never done before. Like I was talking about with this guy that we recruited for Nikki, right? He's blown away at what something that you guys have access to and have had access to for a super long time. Because it's something new to him and he's never had access to it like this before, right? You've got access not only to the YouTube videos, but I've given you access to Dropbox that literally has thousands of hours of the best audiobooks and personal improvement stuff available on the planet. All you gotta do is download it and listen. Like, these little things make all the difference. And if you're actually doing these things, listening to these on a daily basis, doing your incantations, tracking your goals, and then doing your daily baseline, you can trust in the fact that you're going to win here. I promise you. I promise you you're gonna win here. If you just do those simple things, but don't let anything get you away from listening to the audiobooks, doing daily incantations and tracking your goals and doing your daily baseline minutes of activity. Those are the things that you have to do. If you do those things, you're gonna be terrific. If you stray from those things, do everything you can to get back on those things as quickly as possible, okay? I appreciate you guys. We've got a big event at Dave & Buster's. Hope to see a bunch of you there. Have an unbelievable March, and I wish all of you luck that are still in the last man standing contest. Good luck in Torrence on the Super 100. I'm behind you 100%.
What's
Hello.